Good evening, Mayor and Council. Brandon Bernier, 430 6th Avenue.
Thank you.
I'm here to ask the same questions I've been asking for months
Okay.
and haven't gotten answers to
Can I
yet.
please
So
have quiet in the audience?
thank you. Those questions, I'll repeat them once more. First off, I'd like to start with the Rona situation. Last week, it was revealed by our attorney that no paperwork had ever been filed regarding our borough clerk, who's been on paid leave for 5 years. I'm wondering if in the last week anything's changed on that front. I've asked for months now if anyone has looked into our DPW budget, which the numbers are clear that we're spending more money now than we were before we decided to take in our own garbage. So I'd like an answer to that. Has anyone looked into this? Has anyone ran the numbers again? Has anyone looked into options to privatize again and whether it would be financially reasonable or more beneficial to the borough to go back to privatized garbage collection? All I'm asking for is a simple yes or no if someone's looked at those numbers, particularly from Chair of DPW, our CFO, hopefully Chair of Finance, I would assume are the relevant people in that discussion. And then kind of my overarching question, which I've asked every month, is how we're going to afford the mind and body complex. The numbers are stark and they keep getting kind of more stark. My biggest point is not that we shouldn't have the mind and body complex, not that we don't deserve it, not that our kids don't need it, not that we don't need the school space. My point is when the borough is in its current financial shape, $40 million in debt already, capped at about $48 million, when the median household income is just over $43,000, down from $58,000 in 2010, down from $70,000 adjusted for inflation in 2000. We have to look at the numbers and say, hang on, maybe we don't go and buy the Cadillac right now. Maybe we have bigger problems in front of us, like a foreclosure crisis in this borough, like people needing to still recover from the recession, because Roselle hasn't gotten to that point yet. So my only question is how, right now, pushing this thing through, are we going to afford it? And does it make sense to put on the brakes and say maybe we need to look at fixing other problems first so that the people in this borough are going to be able to afford it when that tax increase hits, right? The tax increase just hit.
Is that the time? I'm sorry. No? Okay, It was an
The
outside.
tax increase just hit. Most people got their tax bills a couple of weeks back. 2.25% was the increase all across the board. That alone hurts. And that's just part of what the mind and body is going to cost. Another question I keep asking is how much is it going to cost? Mayor, may I have 3 more minutes? How much is it going to cost to run the mind and body complex? Do we have any estimate on what that cost is going to be? Right? We have estimates on what it's going to cost to build and the lease payments we're going to have to make to the county to pay off the county bonds. Where is the estimate on what we're going to have to pay additionally to run this complex? How do we not have facts and figures on every part of this project? How are we moving full steam ahead on a project if we don't know exactly how much money we're going to need to be able to build it, run it once it's built? Additional costs that, aren't included right then and there? Maintenance down the line on this building over 30 years? Where are those numbers? And why hasn't anyone answered that question in the months that I've been coming up here? Do we not have numbers? That would be fine to say. We're working on them. But please, just give me some answer. That's all I'm asking for. I keep going back to this Cadillac kind of equivalency. You don't go out and buy a Cadillac right after you lost your job or after you got, demoted and your pay is less than it was. So we have to look at whether the borough is going to be able to afford that Cadillac. And if this council believes we can, I'd like to, see those numbers and see that full explanation. Because when I look at the numbers, I see a DPW budget that's inflated over the last 4 years since this project was introduced. Tons of money being spent there that wasn't being spent before. And there are hidden costs in that I'm not even aware of. The entire cost of buying the equipment, the trucks, I don't have that full figure. Workman's comp claims down there, people get injured when they're on the job. When you have 60 employees up from 15, there are going to be more injuries. You know, those are added costs, health benefits on all those people, added costs that I don't even include when I'm talking about spending $500,000 to $600,000 more a year. So I'd love to get some answers on these questions. I would certainly appreciate it.
Okay, if you'd like, at the end of the meeting, we can answer some of those questions. I plan on answering some, you know, and possibly the council will when it's their time to speak. If any of the administration at this point can answer any of those directly right now.
I'd
If
prefer
not,
answers now because right now the council's time is unlimited. At the end of the meeting, as we know, everyone's limited to 5 minutes.
Right.
So answering everyone's questions during public comments in those 5 minutes
Right.
is,
Okay, so you want to
Not-
wait till after.
I'd prefer an answer right now.
Well, if the CFO will answer first, if you can come up with any numbers for the current DPW status in terms of the operation of that budget, that would be great.
That is one of my goals, probably next week, to try to look through the numbers. I wasn't involved with the initial DPW numbers,
Right.
but yes, that is on my list.